The higher the barrier to entry is, the harder it is. That's the stuff you should lean into. Like, the harder it is, the more you should want to do it. It automatically is going to eliminate 90% of the competition. And then it'll eliminate another 9% of the competition after a year, because the amount of people that are going to stick with it that long is really small. And then after 5-10 years, you've actually built this big asset and big brand in an area. And so that applies to everything in business and life.
You create videos that are not the same as everybody else on YouTube. It's pretty clear. It's why they perform. It's why they do well. It's because you put thought into the sound. You put thought into the scenes, the B-roll, everything. For example, what topics would you start creating, or how would you think through that process of what to create?
But again, you look for who is your ideal client, what would they be searching for online, and then go create the content that they're looking for. So for us, there's a neighborhood here called Golden Oak. Disney created it. Some of my biggest videos have been from in Golden Oak. It's a gated neighborhood. You can't even get in unless you've got an appointment. And so one of the videos I did was a talking head video from my house, and it was just like, here's what's going on with Golden Oak. And so then it was like, hey, the top 3 things you didn't know, right? And then eventually they ended up bringing us in a couple of the builders, and they said, hey, you want to do videos here? And we're like, heck yeah, let's go. So we did some listing videos for them. Again, not getting the listing, but we got a lot of buyer leads, and we sold multiple homes in this neighborhood because of the content that we did there. But again, if you want multi-million-dollar clients, you go do multi-million-dollar kind of content. Then I started thinking, okay, listen, there's really not that many multi-million-dollar buyers, and so I need to start, being willing to go down a few tiers. And now I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Really anything. We've got a big enough team and big enough skill set, and Orlando's huge. So we try to cast our net. And so I literally look at the next 6 months and say, okay, every month I want to hit this kind of bucket. And then I'm going to do a live every Thursday and talk about the news. And then we've got sort of a whole board flushed out based on buyer and seller profile. And then I look at my body of work of what's performing, and then we try to, is there something that we can kind of do a repurpose of? And we're very methodical about it. So in terms of choosing what to do, that's how we do it. And then from a strategy standpoint of how we do the videos, it's okay, the hook is not, hey, I'm Ken Pozek, real estate agent. It's, today you're going to learn about the 5 reasons why this neighborhood is better than anyone in Orlando. Stay tuned. And then we do a quick cut, and then it's right into number 1. Number 1 is here, right? And I just started adding a subscribe thing about halfway through my videos just to test it. But I wasn't even asking for the subscription. I wasn't asking for the reach out. I wasn't asking for any of that stuff until the very end. Because my whole idea was, if I could give somebody 5 minutes of value to where they watch the whole video, if they got all the way to the end, and then I asked for the business, that's somebody who's going to be pretty bought into my brand. And so we did that for 3.5 years, and it's crushed. And so now we're playing even more so with audio design and color grading and keeping people's attention through B-roll strategically. And how do we further along the story instead of just adding B-roll to add B-roll? It's okay, how do we further along the story so that when they're watching, they're engaged? And there's a lot of that stuff that we just constantly try to tweak to get people's attention. And so I'm an analytics nerd. I go through my analytics way too much, but it's something I love.
How do you balance the whole output of quality and output of getting the video out when you think through the time that it takes to hey, we need to get this video out too, but we want it to be great? How do you kind of work through that? Are you involved with a lot of the video editing, with the storyboarding, or more in post-production where you're like, okay, here's what needs to get revised, here's my thoughts? Where do you kind of sit now, I guess?
Yeah, so this, again, I think this is going to be different for everybody. So
yeah,
you can choose what your skill set is. This is our iteration as of today, right? This has changed over the years based on skill set of my team and who I hired and all that kind of stuff. But how it sits today is I come up with the topic and then I storyboard it. And I typically do location scouting, and then I do intro, 3 to 4 hits, and then outro is kind of almost every one of my videos. And then I have B-roll shots in my head already that I want to make sure. So when we're out, I'm literally producing at the same time. So I'm like, hey, let's go over here because behind me, I want to show this clip of the trees behind me and really kind of engage people with this shot. We're constantly doing setups that way. And so I'm very involved with all of that. After that, I turn it over, the storyboard and notes, to my videographer, who's also our long form editor. And we've worked together now for 3.5 years. So he knows what I'm looking for. Before, it used to take 3 or 4 rounds of edits to get the video perfect. Now it's typically 1 round of edits. And so he'll get it to me. We posted one this morning. I sent him the edits on Sunday night. He had it back to me midday Monday. And then I still also do the thumbnails and uploads because there's some finesse to that. I'm not perfect, but I've been following along click rates and all that kind of stuff long enough. I know what works and what doesn't. And so I'm still involved with that.
After all of the videos that you created, the hundreds of videos, if you had to distill to like your 3 most important lessons, what would that be?
Probably number one would be create videos for other people, not you. There's a point of doing creation and being a creator because you love it. But then I do this for business. So I want people to reach out. And so I don't do content that there's been some stuff, man, Andrew, that I have loved. We did this video, Universal Studios had us out and they gave us unfettered access. It was like VIP tours, behind the scenes, interviews with creative staff. Like they gave us so much cool stuff. It's my favorite video we've ever done. I mean, I storyboarded the crap out of it, B-roll. Like I had the shot list down. It was amazing. And the end result was beautiful. But my audience didn't give a shit because that's not what my channel's about. My channel's about moving to Orlando. And so there's other theme park guys that do better than I do and have been doing it for 10 years and have 1 million subscribers. And so people don't go to me for theme parks. They want to hear the news from me and what I think about the area. That's what my channel should be about. And so if YouTube will also figure out who you are and then serve your content to the right people. And so, yeah, number one lesson, understand your audience, shoot content for them, not for you. Number two, I would say you could probably cut more stuff out of your videos than you leave in. Like you should be looking at, can I get the point across in 30 seconds instead of 2 minutes? And I know watch time is super important, so you have to make sure you're paying attention to that on YouTube. But sometimes you'll make a 15-minute video when you could have got the point across in 8. And I would much rather have a completed 8-minute video than somebody watching 8 minutes of 15. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So third, I would just say, having your intended result in mind ahead of time before you even shoot. Don't try to figure it out along the way. So if this is something that is going to further engagement with your audience, awesome. Have that idea. If you want buyers to reach out, have that idea and shoot accordingly. If you want sellers to reach out, shoot accordingly. So yeah, your intended audience is a big one.